Most pressure washing businesses, they fail. If you don't believe me, go look at Facebook right now at the marketplace, and you're going to see brand new pressure washers, shiny trailers, soft wash rigs, all with captions like only used once, going a different direction, or couldn't get any customers. And it's not just marketplace. Every single pressure washing Facebook group has these posts every single week, if not more. These people all started with the same dream. They bought their gear, they got the equipment, they were ready to work, but they didn't have a plan. So when people ask me, how much money can I make pressure washing? Here's the truth. You can make a ton of money or you can go broke. And it really all depends on your approach, right? In fact, it entirely depends on your approach, on your market, and whether you treat this like a real business, because there's way more to this game than just spraying bleach and water. So let's start with the upsides, the good stuff, the rainbows, the sunshine, the little birds tweeting. Because look, I've seen solo operators consistently clear six figures. I've seen multi-truck crews hit $500,000, $750,000, over $1 million a year. And here's the math that gets people really excited. A standard house wash might be, say, $300, right? You do 3 jobs a day, 5 days a week, and that's $4,500 a week. You multiply that out, that's over $200,000 a year. But here's where people mess up. You've got insurance, you've got fuel, chemicals, marketing, taxes, equipment maintenance. And if you're not tracking these things, then you're flying blind and you have no idea what your business is actually making. And just because you bill $200,000 doesn't mean that you keep $200,000. What you keep depends on your pricing, your efficiency, and how well you run your business. Now, let's talk about the flip side, okay? So why do most people fail? Well, it's not because the work is too hard. It's because they don't approach it like a business. They underprice just to get jobs. We see that and we hear it all the time. They overdeliver to the point that they lose money. This happens all the time. There's no follow-up processes in place, and they've got no clue how much money they're actually making. They have no clue about profitability. They stay busy, but they stay broke. And then comes burnout. They're exhausted. They're overbooked. They're underpaid. And then they quit. And that's when you see all of their stuff go up for sale online. Okay, so how do we avoid this? Well, one of the first decisions that you have to make is what your market's going to be. Is it going to be residential? Is it going to be commercial? Residential, it's easy to start, right? Low barrier to entry. And usually there's a decent demand in most areas, right? The downside, it's sometimes seasonal depending on where you live. Customers, they don't always rebook, and you have to constantly market to keep your schedule full. Now, commercial jobs are usually bigger jobs. You can set up recurring contracts, and that's great repeat work, that recurring work that we love. And then those businesses are often going to stick with you if you do quality, consistent work. Now, the downside is it takes longer to land those types of jobs, and you're going to have to jump through hoops a lot of times to get those jobs. And you're probably going to need a little bit higher insurance coverage. There's a lot of things that come into play. Now, if you're brand new, I recommend starting with residential, right? Build your skills, build your cash flow, then add commercial once you have systems in place. So some of the things that I like are recurring jobs, right? Recurring monthly revenue. And this is one thing that a lot of beginners, they overlook, right? Which is the recurring route work. Think storefronts, restaurants, gas stations, dumpster pads. It's not glamorous, but it's predictable, right? You set up weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly. And here's why it's powerful. Let's say that you've got a 10-stop monthly route at $150 per stop. Very doable. That's $1,500 a month that you can count on, right? Before you even book a one-time job, that one residential job, that house wash or the roof wash, whatever. If that recurring work covers your overhead, every other job that you do that month is going to be profit, okay? Now, let's talk about the reality of the work week, right? If you think you're going to spend all day washing, I promise you're in for a big surprise. On average, about 40% of your time is actually cleaning, depending on where you're at in your business. Now, the rest is going to be quoting, marketing, talking to customers, maintaining your equipment, right? The guys who grow their businesses are the ones who master that business side, right? Not just the cleaning side. So the next thing that we should talk about probably is training, right? And if you don't know the right cleaning techniques, how to mix the chemicals safely or how to protect the property, you will either do a bad job or you can cause a bunch of expensive damage. And that's the last thing you want to do, because not only does it damage your customer's property, it damages your reputation. And training also teaches you how to quote jobs accurately, upsell services, create repeatable systems so your business can actually run like a machine. Now, before you spend a dime on anything, any equipment, you need to do three things. First is you got to research your local market, okay? Figure out your true costs like insurance, fuel, marketing, taxes, and then you need to plan exactly how you're going to get customers to give you money, right? Skipping this step is how you end up another marketplace listing. Okay, so there is a line between a side hustle and a real business, right? And that line is knowing your numbers, okay? You need to track your close rate, your marketing ROI, your job costs, and your average ticket price, and a bunch of other things too, which is why we built Quote IQ. We know what is important. We know what matters. We wanted it all in one place, and it didn't exist, right? We were duct taping together 3 to 4 different apps and then having integrations on top of integrations with even more monthly subscriptions. And that sucked and it got expensive. And that's why we built Quote IQ, where you can send estimates, track leads, measure properties with satellite imagery that are connected directly to your quotes. You get paid. You can see your numbers all in real time, all in one place. And if you want to run this like a business, you need to track everything. You can try a 14-day free trial at myquoteiq.com. Now, the real answer to all of this, right? How much can you make? And the answer is pretty simple. If you treat this like a side hustle, you're going to get side hustle results. Now, if you treat it like a business, you learn from people who've done it and track everything, right? Like we talked about, track every move that you make. You can build something. You can build a real business that is going to pay you for years to come. Now, every business is different. Everyone's hustle is different. Everyone's ability to see beyond the wand is different. There are things that you can do every single day that are going to increase your odds of success. Now, you got to be good at sales. You're not going to start off being good at sales, but you can get good at sales. You got to be good at marketing. A and B split test, right? You got to figure out what works. Then you need to have a good website. You can check out budgetbuiltsites.com, only pay hosting. And you need to be relentless. You need to be consistent. You need to understand that nothing is going to happen overnight for you, and nothing is going to happen unless you make it happen. So set yourself up for success from day one, actually before day one. Because you got to plan, you got to have a plan, and you got to get better at everything that you do every single day. Because the guys that have their shit listed on Facebook, they didn't do these things. They thought it was going to be easy. They thought they could just figure it out on their own. And when things got hard, do you know what they did? They quit. And that's not who you are, and that's not why you're watching this. So at the end of the day, when all is said and done, one of the most important things is you got to be humble. You have to understand that you don't know everything. You can learn from other people, right? Trial and error is a great thing, but it's a lot better if you can learn from somebody that's been there and done that. That's why we built How to Wash 2, commercial and residential, where we teach you everything that you need, from how to mix the chemicals, the equipment to use, the processes, the procedures, safety, protocol, setting up the business structure. I mean, it's all in there. And it's super cheap, less than the cost of like half of a driveway if you're pricing right. Anyway, that's it for the video, guys. I hope it helped. I didn't tell you exactly how much you could make because that's up to you.